The first month I was with Robert Miller. He said, "My mother really likes you. Can I have her add you on the messaging app?" I was flattered and sent his mother holiday greetings. Occasionally, I'd even send small gifts. But 6 years into our relationship, I found out that behind his mother's messaging app profile picture was his white moonlight, the one he cared for deeply, someone more than a friend, but never quite a lover. On New Year's Eve, I casually posted a photo on my social media feed of myself watching fireworks and drinking red wine alone. Robert Miller immediately traveled over 3,000 kilometers to see me. He was dressed too lightly and kept sniffling. "I forgot to even change my clothes. I just wanted to see you as soon as possible." But I wasn't moved anymore. Because the person he was putting all his effort into loving wasn't just me. I let him in coolly. He tentatively asked, "Sweetheart, are you mad because I didn't spend New Year's Eve with you? Tickets to fly back from London were really hard to get. But I couldn't bear to leave you alone." When I saw that post on your social media feed, my heart ached. The only thought in my head was that I had to see you right away. Hearing all this, my first reaction was, had he said these things to Chloe too? Robert Miller and I were university classmates. He pursued me for a long time before I finally agreed to be with him. Robert Miller knew I was someone who needed constant reassurance of love. So, in the first month we were together, he told me, "Sadie, I've already introduced you to my mom. I told her you're the only girl I ever want to marry. She really likes you. Can I have her add you on the messaging app?" Surprise outweighed my nervousness. I added his mother on the messaging app. After she accepted, I sent a message, "Mrs. Miller, Sarah's initial respectful address. Hello, I'm Sarah Miller." She sent me a gift card or cash in an envelope and said thank you for being with Robert Miller. Later, we'd occasionally chat. She'd tell me funny stories about Robert Miller when he was little and then tell me, "Rob really loves you." Sometimes she'd also say, "I sent you and Rob some delicious food, remember to go pick it up. Don't let that stinker eat it all himself." If she couldn't find Robert Miller, she'd anxiously ask me, "Is Rob sick lately? Please take care of him, Sadie." In the 6 years I was with Robert Miller, I never doubted the authenticity of this identity. Besides sending holiday greetings, I'd even buy small gifts. Until 2 months ago. Because I wanted to separate my work and personal life, I registered a new messaging app account and added his mother again. Before I even had a chance to tell her who I was, I saw a red dot indicating a new post on her social media feed. It was from her, but it hadn't appeared on my old messaging app account. That day was her birthday, and I had a fever of 102 degrees Fahrenheit. Robert Miller was worried about me going to the hospital alone, but I insisted he leave. "Go quickly and spend your mother's birthday with her. I'm not a child anymore." He repeatedly told me to call him if anything happened and that he'd be back after dinner. I nodded, transferring my messaging app contacts while getting in 4 drip. When I clicked on her social media feed, I felt like a pair of hands was squeezing my throat. A close-up photo of the two of them appeared right before my eyes. They were playfully smearing cake frosting on each other's noses. The woman I had always believed to be his mother looked like she was only in her early 20s. The gold bracelet on her wrist was the birthday gift I had asked Robert Miller to give her. Her social media caption read, "Time ignites a beacon, not just for you and me." My breathing was shallow, and the tips of my fingers clutching my phone turned white. Taking a deep breath, I opened both phones and compared them repeatedly. I realized that some content was only visible to me. Some was only not visible to me. Using my new messaging app account, I scrolled through her social media feed from beginning to end. I learned her name, Chloe. She and Robert Miller had grown up together since kindergarten, childhood friends. They were separated after high school graduation / when we went to college. There were many ambiguous photos and screenshots of chat logs. They went to watch the sunrise together every year, like a special tradition. If she was bullied at school, Robert Miller would rush there immediately to stand up for her. They took photos outside the hospital and police station after he got injured, and then posted on their social media feed saying, "Checked in." On their 18th birthday celebration, they hugged tightly and celebrated by bungee jumping together. Even after Robert Miller and I started dating, he never kept his distance from her. My Valentine's Day gifts and New Year's gifts, she had the same ones. Handmade items Robert Miller specifically made for me, she had received them too. Even when we traveled, he would go again with her shortly after. Maybe someone asked her what her relationship with Robert Miller was. She replied in the comments section, unified response, just friends. Just friends? I scrolled back to a video she posted before Robert Miller and I were together. They were waiting for the sunrise on the beach, both a little drunk. Chloe asked him, "We've known each other for so long, everyone thinks we should be together. But why is it that we just can't be together?" Robert Miller was silent for a long time before answering. "Because I don't want to lose you. Not being together is the only way to be together forever." The needle had backed out and blood was filling the syringe. The nurse was startled and came to take out the needle. "Why didn't you call someone? This is very dangerous." She rattled off a bunch of in my ear. I didn't hear a single word. Numbly, I paid he bill and took a taxi home. When people are in extreme pain, they lose their emotions. Just like I did then. I lay on the bed and didn't know when I fell asleep. Robert Miller called me many times, but I didn't answer. Until I was woken up by a frantic pounding on the door. Frowning, I opened the door for Robert Miller. He hugged me, trembling, and said tearfully, "You scared me to death. I thought something had happened to you. If anything had really happened to you today, I wouldn't want to live either." After the fever broke, I felt listless. Maybe I still hadn't decided whether or not to confront Robert Miller. I pulled myself out of his embrace and lay back down on the bed. I'm tired. When I woke up the next day, Robert Miller was in the living room, checking the medicine cabinet medicine by medicine. He threw away the expired ones and restocked them with new ones. The refrigerator was also packed full by him. I had never doubted his feelings for me. But now I wondered if he felt the same way about Chloe. Or perhaps, even better? He saw that I was awake and smiled, pulling me to the dining table and telling me to eat quickly. The chicken soup he had personally made was at the perfect temperature. I took a sip, and my eyes welled up. Robert Miller had an evening flight to London for work. I asked him with a hoarse voice, "Can you not go?" He stroked my head. "Sweetheart, I don't want to leave you either. But I've been applying for that job in London for a long time. Wait for me for 3 years, and I'll come back, okay?" What I really wanted to ask him was he reluctant to leave me, or was he reluctant to leave Chloe? Chloe was going to London for further studies. The timing of her getting her offer was almost the same as his job application. Was he really not going specifically to be with her? But these words, I wanted to say them but couldn't. It felt like a huge stone was pressing on my chest, stuck in my throat. I didn't see him off at the airport, and he didn't insist. I felt like a thief peeking into other people's lives. I kept refreshing my social media feed on my phone, hoping to see Chloe's updates, yet afraid to see them. At 9:30 in the evening, the flight was preparing to take off. She posted a photo of them together. The caption was, 3 years for each other, to feel and confirm properly. Tears streamed down my face and splattered on the phone. My heart ached with spasms. From that day on, I was very distant with Robert Miller. I saw the messages he sent me, but I would reply much later. When I replied, I couldn't help but wonder if he had sent the same good morning and good night messages to Chloe. He asked if I had eaten well. I couldn't help but wonder if he had eaten with Chloe. I lay in bed tossing and turning, unable to sleep. My mind was full of images of the two of them laughing and messing around. Before, when Robert Miller and I argued, Chloe would use his mother's identity to advise me. Rob is indeed in the wrong, but I understand him. He's stubborn and proud. Even if he knows he's wrong, he won't admit it verbally. Give him a chance to back down, and he'll immediately apologize like a child. Sadie, relationships also need to be managed. I listened to her advice, and it worked. Robert Miller not only apologized to me but also told me, "Sweetheart, you understand me so well." The person who truly understood him was never me. But being a woman myself, after scrolling through her social media feed, I understood. Chloe never genuinely wanted to help Robert Miller and me stay together. She wanted to control me to achieve her goal of loving Robert Miller. When I realized this, a chill ran down my spine. I even felt the urge to impulsively message Chloe and confront her. "Who are you? What do you want? I opened Chloe's chat window, my fingers trembling on the phone keyboard. I typed the words, then deleted them. Finally, I exit the chat screen. Emotion surged to its peak, and I started frantically smashing everything around me. The framed photo of Robert Miller and me shattered on the floor. Glass shards hid in the carpet, and the seemingly loving photo lay quietly on top. After the frenzy came a long period of calm. I sat by the bed, silently looking at the photo, my mind blank. In the middle of the night, Robert Miller sent me a message. Sweetheart, I couldn't get a ticket. I can't spend New Year's Eve with you. I subconsciously checked Chloe's social media feed first. She posted concert tickets for 2, dated New Year's Eve. The caption was, New Year's Eve, 6 years overdue. His 6 years of being late were spent with me. Now he was going back. I opened Robert Miller's chat window and replied with just one word, okay. He replied instantly, Sweetheart, why aren't you asleep yet? Are you working late again? Remember to balance work and rest. If work is too hard, just quit. I can support you. I didn't reply again. Not just these messages, but all the messages he sent me after that day. I didn't reply. It wasn't until New Year's Eve that he visibly panicked. I sat on the living room carpet and made mulled red wine with cinnamon and oranges. When the fireworks exploded outside, I posted on my social media feed. Robert Miller kept messaging me. Sweetheart, what are you doing? Why aren't you replying? Sweetheart, what did I do wrong? I read his messages but didn't reply. Until he started frantically ringing the doorbell. He sent me, Sarah Miller. Open the door. While Robert Miller was saying he missed me, his eyes kept trying to peek into my apartment. I knew what he was thinking. I stepped aside, letting him in generously. He followed me into the living room and tried to hug me. I twisted my body to avoid him. He tried to kiss me, but his approaching mouth made me feel inexplicably disgusted. I just felt like that mouth had also kissed Ch. Low. He froze for a moment, his whole body tense and rigid. Then he asked me, somewhat angrily, Sarah Miller, what do you mean by avoiding me? Are you seeing someone else? For words immediately popped into my mind, pot calling the kettle black. I frowned in disdain and tossed my phone to him. You know the password. If you don't trust me, check it yourself. Maybe it was out of a sense of revenge. Deep down, I actually hoped he would look. It would be best if he discovered that I could now see Chloe's social media feed. Then, guilty and afraid, he would explain, get on his knees and beg for my forgiveness. He would cut ties with Chloe in front of me and promise me repeatedly that his kindness would only be for me from now on. But these thoughts only existed in my mind. Robert Miller didn't check my phone. He just looked at me with a determined and passionate gaze. Sadie, I love you. Love isn't suspicion and doubt, it's reluctance to part and fear. I'm just afraid of losing you. My heart softened slightly. I was always moved by his genuine emotions. But afraid of truly softening, I turned away from him. I tilted my head back and drained the glass of red wine. Bitterness spread from my tongue to my throat, coursing through my body. Suppressing my emotions, I deliberately smiled and probed. Robert Miller, do you really think we can be together forever? Have you never regretted it? When you went to London, did you ever think about breaking up with me? The surroundings fell silent for a moment. The black pupils in his eyes flickered uneasily. The air, along with time, seemed to freeze. After a long, long time. So long I almost said, I was just kidding. He broke the silence. No. He repeated firmly, word by word. Sarah Miller, I have never, ever thought about breaking up with you. From the day I got together with you, I decided you were the one, for this lifetime. His words were touching, stirring various complex emotions within me. With the wine hitting me, I couldn't help but want to ask him, what about Chloe? What does your feeling for Chloe count as? Is that love too? But I was still too weak. My mouth felt glued shut. I just couldn't bring myself to let the real hurt inside burst out. Carrying the remaining uncooked red wine, I got up and walked to the floor-to-ceiling window, turning my back to him. You should go first. I want to be alone tonight. The night-lit floor-to-ceiling window clearly reflected Robert Miller's image. He hesitated, taking a step towards me. His hands, hanging by his sides, clenched into fists, then quickly relaxed. He picked up his coat and walked to the door, looking back at me. Just like when I received his message saying he wouldn't be back for New Year's Eve, he only said one word, "Okay." The consequence of a hangover was a splitting headache. I rubbed my temples and fumbled under my pillow for my phone. I saw Robert Miller's unread messages. He had sent me a long text message in the middle of the night. Every word expressed how much he loved me. He thought my unease and pushing him away were because he had gone to London, because of the long distance. He said, "I don't know how to reassure you, but I'm willing to gamble that love can overcome all difficulties." Robert Miller disappeared from my world for 3 days. During these 3 days, I thought a lot. The most confusing question was, why couldn't I say the words "let's break up"? Was it because I loved him too much? In the 6 years we were together, no matter what happened between us, I firmly believed he was the one I should stay with. That's why I was willing to listen to Chloe, to understand him, to coax him, and to try to solve problems without affecting our relationship. But now, the problem between us seemed unsolvable. 3 days later, Robert Miller messaged me. "Meet me at our old spot." The old spot he mentioned was the university tea rack. When we were in university, we would walk hand in hand there every night. He said, "Sadie, even when we're old, we should still take walks like this together." I smiled, my eyes curving. "When we're old, I'll push your wheelchair in the sun, and then I'll go dance with the old guys." He got so mad his face turned green. "Sarah Miller, you can't. You can only be with me for this lifetime. From my 20th birthday to my 26th. This lifetime wasn't over yet, but I felt a bit tired. I hadn't expected Robert Miller to propose to me. Standing on the university track, I felt completely overwhelmed. He had invited a lot of people, our former classmates and friends, and even the professors he had written apology letters to. Everyone's eyes were moist, as I think that this beautiful part of our youth had finally reached a conclusion. But my eyes immediately fell on Chloe in the corner. My heart felt like it had been suddenly and violently squeezed by a door. It hurt so much my whole body cramped, trembling uncontrollably. This was the first time I had seen her in person. She was thin and small, the kind that could easily inspire a man's protective instincts. Robert Miller knelt down on one knee and, crying, said a long proposal speech. I didn't hear a word of it. My focus was entirely on observing Chloe's expression. She looked regretful and sad. Until everyone started chanting, "Marry him, marry him." I couldn't help but look up, and tears still fell. I opened my mouth. I struggled, in pain, hesitant, doubting myself, and said to him, "Robert Miller, let's break up." If there was only one person there who could empathize with me, I thought that person was Chloe. It was somewhat ironic. I could see that her feelings for Robert Miller were different from his feelings for her. She genuinely loved him, even more deeply and selflessly than my love. I asked myself if I could reach her level, and I knew I couldn't. So I was scared. The moment Robert Miller knelt down, I genuinely tried to convince myself. Maybe I should just say yes. After all, his love for me was real, 6 years of it. How many more 6-year periods did I have to love someone else? But when I thought about his relationship with Chloe, I couldn't lie to myself anymore. He could leave me to be with Chloe in London. He could lie about not getting tickets just to go to a concert with her. He could even let her pretend to be his mother, all because of a promise they made when they were young. "We'll vet each other's partners from now on." Was this kind of love really love? Was this the love I wanted? 10,000 thoughts flashed through my mind. It felt like I had traveled through many years in my imagination. I saw my future with Robert Miller. He might forget our anniversaries because of Chloe. He might leave me and my child because of Chloe. He might regret choosing me back then because of Chloe. Even if these possibilities hadn't happened yet, their mere existence made me rationally and clearly say no. The moment I said break up, I understood what I had been unable to let go of all this time. It wasn't Robert Miller himself. It was myself. It was the feelings I had invested in him. But sunk costs should not influence major decisions. I had to let go. Robert Miller preferred to believe he had misheard. He couldn't believe that I had broken up with him. He forced a calm smile. "Sadie, are you testing me?" He was interrupted before he could finish. I raised my hand and pointed at Chloe behind him. Is she your mother? He froze in his kneeling position, his expression slowly turning to shock. He understood. He knew what I was saying. He knew I had found out. I continued, Chloe is here today. Is she witnessing you finding happiness, or witnessing herself losing happiness? Robert Miller, when you decided to propose to me, did you ever think about how you would cover up this lie? Are you planning to have your childhood friend pretend to be your mother for the rest of your life? Robert Miller was completely unable to support himself, his body trembling. His proposal posture in that atmosphere looked ridiculous, like a clown. But he didn't know whether to kneel or stand. He was at a loss. Chloe's heart ached for him, and she rushed to explain for Robert Miller. Sadie, you've misunderstood. Robert Miller and I are just good friends. I genuinely hope you two can be happy. A cold laugh escaped me uncontrollably. I looked at Robert Miller's friends beside him. You all know about Chloe and Robert Miller's relationship, right? Do you also think they're just purely friends? They all lowered their heads and didn't say anything. Chloe bit her lip tightly, not knowing how to explain. Robert Miller clenched his fists, his face dark, and stood up. Sarah Miller, if there's a misunderstanding, we can talk it through. Do you have to make things difficult for me in this situation? His accusation made me pause, then inwardly laugh at myself. When we were tearing each other apart, he still stood on his own side, as expected. Robert Miller, did I invite these people? You came back from London 3 days ago and proposed to me. Were you really preparing? You were waiting for Chloe to come back, weren't you? If I had just said we were breaking up today and turned to leave, tomorrow your friends would be talking behind my back, saying I'm heartless. Rumors would even spread around the university that I was seeing someone else and dumped you. Robert Miller, if you truly loved me, wouldn't you have thought of this? How dare you question me? Robert Miller's face crumpled. A mix of chaotic and complex emotions crossed his face. He was breathing rapidly, his chest heaving violently. Then he anxiously stepped towards me, reaching out his hand. Sadie, I didn't. I took a step back to keep my distance from him. I was never him wholeheartedly because I was naive or inexperienced. Nor was it because I was unrealistic, knowing he had nothing, yet willing to be moved by those cheap gestures. It was simply because he was the person he was, and I was willing. But I am not cheap, and my love is not something anyone can deserve. The feelings I invested in him, I was taking them back. Robert Miller, I'm saying this one last time, let's break up. After breaking up with Robert Miller, we both took a long time to recover. Half a month later, he appeared at my doorstep. He was holding a bouquet of flowers, the begonias I liked. I took out my key and said to him flatly, "Excuse me, please move." His eyes turned red repeatedly. He choked up for a long time before forcing out a smile that was uglier than crying. Sadie, I know you're angry. I'm not here to ask for your forgiveness. I've already made things clear with Chloe, we'll keep our distance from now on. I'm here to pursue you again, can you give me another chance? The subject of all 4 sentences was I. So he wasn't here for me, he was here for himself. I felt no ripples in my heart. I just repeated, excuse me, please move. He reluctantly stepped aside, watching me open the door, go inside, and close the door. The rustling sound outside the door didn't go away for a long time. I ignored him and hid in my study to work overtime. I had applied for 6 months' leave from my boss and needed to quickly hand over my current work. Halfway through working, a friend request suddenly popped up on my phone. The verification message was, "My mother," referring to the actual sender of the text message. I frowned, not having time to think. Robert Miller sent me a text message. Sadie, this time it's really my mother. I'm serious, I want to be with you properly. I had already deleted Robert Miller's messaging app, but I forgot to block his phone number. His text message was a timely reminder. I checked all my social media accounts. Instagram, TikTok, other social media apps, payment apps. I deleted Robert Miller from everywhere. But Robert Miller still persisted. Every morning when I left, I would see milk and breakfast left at my door. When I came home, there would be a bouquet of flowers and a card at the door. I never picked any of them up. Just like my feelings for Robert Miller, I couldn't pick them up anymore. About another half a month later, I ran into him when I went out. He had his luggage and was moving next door to me. Seeing me stop, he turned and explained, "I quit my job in London. When you asked me if I could not go to London back then, I should have said yes. If I had said yes back then, we wouldn't have." Before he finished speaking, I quickly turned and left. There was no if for me and Robert Miller. That night when I got home, I didn't go into my own apartment first. Instead, I knocked on Robert Miller's door next door. He was very happy to see me. He was wearing an apron. "I was just about to come call you. Want to have dinner together?" I shook my head and handed him the item in my hand. "Don't get the wrong idea, I'm just giving you something. Mine is already gone, this is yours. You should deal with it yourself." When he saw the packaging of the item, he knew what it was. His hands trembled in midair for a long time before he took it. He still wanted to say something. I quickly slipped into my own apartment. The year we graduated from university, Robert Miller and I bought a future wedding fund pact. Each of us paid around $140. If we successfully got married, we could collect around $1,400 on the day we got our marriage certificate. At the time, we were both confident that we would definitely get married. So even though around $140 was half a month's food money for us, we spent it without hesitation. When we signed the future wedding fund pact, the manager gave each of us a time capsule. We could put thin GS we felt were proof of our love into it. We would open them on our wedding day. Robert Miller and I agreed to keep them a secret from each other. On our wedding night, we would exchange them. But now, there was no need. So today I went to the insurance company and canceled the pact. I took back both time capsules. I put many things in my time capsule. The book I accidentally took the first time we met. The first flowers he gave me, which I dried. Countless train and entrance tickets from our trips together. And a small engraved locket I got from the wishing tree in a local park. Each item seemed to open up a memory of mine. But when I thought of them, there were no more ripples. I found a garbage collection point and opened my time capsule. After emptying everything inside, I threw away the capsule shell. Then I went back with Robert Miller's time capsule. I wasn't curious about what he had put inside. In any case, it had nothing to do with me anymore. After getting home, about half an hour later, there was a commotion from next door. It was like the time I lost control and went crazy when he went to London, smashing everything in the bedroom. Thinking about it, I dragged out the blanket that had been left in the study, covered in broken glass. The photo of Robert Miller and me, which had fallen flat on it, I tore into shreds and mixed it with the glass shards. I dragged the blanket to the trash can in the fire escape stairwell and threw it away. Then I went back home, locked the door, and turned the music up as loud as possible. I didn't want to be involved in the pain and chaos next door. And I didn't want to know. After leaving Robert Miller, I took good care of myself. I didn't have to worry about whether he was asleep, or stay up late browsing shopping apps and social media, looking for style tips and career advice for him, even when I was exhausted. I started exercising, soaking my feet, and focusing on my health. I went to bed early every night. I spent my money and my love on myself. At 3 in the morning, I suddenly woke up. The doorbell was ringing frantically and urgently. Robert Miller was pounding on the door and shouting, "Sarah Miller, come out." I frowned, lay back down, and went back to sleep. Until the building management called me. "Ms. Miller, a neighbor reported that your apartment is too noisy. Can you handle it?" I calmly said, "Call the police, there's nothing I can do either." Not seeing each other again was the most dignified way to part. After a few quiet days, Robert Miller didn't come looking for me again. But Chloe asked to meet me. She said, "Your things are with me, I should return them to you." I thought for a long time but couldn't figure out what it could be. I thought it might be the gold bracelet I gave her on her birthday. I needed that back. I wouldn't pass up on money. When I arrived at the agreed-upon coffee shop, she was already there. I didn't want to get too involved with her and went straight to the point. "Where are the things?" She handed me a ring and a pop-up book. I remembered the pop-up book. It was my first anniversary gift to Robert Miller the first year we were together. At the time, I told him, "This is your revival scroll. If you ever make me angry, Pull this out and I'll forgive you once. He said, I'll never make you angry. He didn't keep his word. Chloe nervously took a sip of coffee. She forced a bitter smile and said, Robert Miller had too much to drink that day. I called him and he wouldn't answer. So I went to find him, and thankfully I did. He had slit his wrist at home, he almost died. These two things should be what he wanted to give you, right? He was holding an egg-shaped object, refusing to let go, and these two things were inside it. I wasn't interested in Robert Miller's story. I frowned and interrupted Chloe. I thought you were here to return the gold bracelet. If you don't want to return it, that's fine too. I'm leaving now. Before I could even get up from my seat, she suddenly spoke. Sarah Miller, can you please get back together with Robert Miller? I'm begging you. I was stunned for a moment. I hadn't expected Chloe to be this humble for Robert Miller. Seeing I wasn't speaking, she continued, Robert Miller truly loves you. His feelings for you are different from his feelings for me. He really won't be able to live without you. Please, I'm begging you. As long as you're willing to go back to him, I can never see him again for the rest of my life. I stared at Chloe, examining her closely, trying to understand what kind of brain she had. She swallowed, lowered her head, and cautiously looked up at me. If you have any other requests, I can also. I suddenly laughed. Chloe, you're a very different kind of mother than others. Don't others usually offer $5 million to get a girl to leave their son? You clearly love Robert Miller so much. Why don't you boldly go after him instead of pushing him towards me? Sorry, I'm not a salvage yard. She stared at me blankly, a look of shame and inferiority on her face. I tried. The day before New Year's Eve, he was drunk and in a very bad mood. I made a move, and he accepted. But at the very last moment, he suddenly called out your name in my ear. I was so angry, I told him, Robert Miller, I'm Chloe. A flicker of disappointment crossed his eyes, and then he got dressed and told me, Chloe, I'm sorry, we're still only suitable to be friends. That night I cried all night, and I even regretted it. If I hadn't said I'm Chloe, would he and I have ended up together? Hearing this, I only felt disgusted. I was glad I hadn't slept with him when he came back looking for me. Chloe, I don't feel sorry for you at all. She looked up at me, unable to believe what I said. I continued, when I added you using my primary account, you didn't forget the privacy adding/sharing lists, did you? You did it on purpose, didn't you? You just wanted me to discover these little secrets between you and Robert Miller. Those social media feed posts later, you also deliberately posted them for me to see, right? Your relationship with Robert Miller was never clean to begin with. Ending up like this is entirely your own fault. I don't have time to waste here with you. Considering our acquaintance, I'll just count it as bad luck. Please don't appear in front of me again. After saying that, I left the coffee shop without looking back. While taking a taxi home, I received a text message from Chloe. 3 words, I'm sorry, and a $3,800 transfer, which was the money for the gold bracelet. After handing over my work, I started traveling across the country aimlessly. I had wanted to do this for a long time. After my parents divorced, neither side wanted to take care of me. A very important destination in my life was to find a home for myself. Before, I told Robert Miller that I wanted to travel around and find a place I liked to settle down. He said I should just stay by his side, that wherever he was, that was home. If I wanted to travel anywhere in the future, he would go with me. So even though I wasn't very used to the dry and cold climate of the Mountain West region, I still stayed. Now it was fine, I had plenty of time to find a home for myself. While traveling, I received another message from Chloe. She sent me an MMS message. It was a wedding invitation for her and Robert Miller. I smiled and replied, wishing you a lifetime of happiness. On her wedding day, she sent me a very long text message. She told me Robert Miller had ended up fleeing the wedding. She didn't understand why her many years of feelings with Robert Miller couldn't compare to mine. Even though she told Robert Miller that if she didn't marry him, she would be forced to marry an old man, he still agreed and then abandoned the wedding. I found it somewhat amusing. Chloe and Robert Miller were essentially the same kind of people, selfish and contradictory. They didn't believe in love at all, yet they stubbornly thought they could grasp it. They turned their lives into a farce, hysterical yet unwilling to give up. Shrugging, I didn't block her new number again. Instead, I threw away my SIM card and got a new number for myself. I lived very comfortably during that time. I went to many places and met many interesting people. I found that people on the road all had one common characteristic: we all had the courage to live again. Even when I went to Yellowstone National Park, I encountered a homeless man who wasn't quite right in the head. He looked a lot like Robert Miller. When he saw me, he chased after me. I threw him an apple, and he stopped, crying. He opened his mouth wide to bite the apple. His chapped lip started bleeding again. I quit my job as a copywriter. Over the next 6 months, I traveled and transitioned into being an online content creator. I quickly gained a large following. I completely understood how important it is to love yourself. Life doesn't have that many complicated lessons. Live in the moment, passionately and freely. For myself, 1,000 times over.